Okay. We are recording and ready to start. Whoever's doing the check-in part, take it away.
Okay. Well, welcome back, everyone, to our quest to generate a culture of empathy. So nice to see familiar faces here and some new ones. Really looking forward to today's session. And we're just going to start with a quick check-in, about 30 seconds each. During your check-in, you can mention a little bit about what happened last time that you might want to bring up. You could also talk about your buddy call, how your buddy call went, or anything else about the empathy circle. So why don't we begin with Kathy?
Yes. So, my buddy call was wonderful. It was exactly what I needed. It was with Karen Johnson. And we had a lot of themes that came up, but one of the themes that I took away were a couple of things. One, the desire to have empathy as a way of being. And two, you cannot have judgment and also have empathy. So those are my two takeaways from the call. So thank you.
Very nice. Jonathan?
My name is Jonathan Gordon, and I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. And my interest is to bring a reflective listening and empathy circles to the political dialogue in Vallejo, California. Thank you.
Me?
Dee?
Hi, DJ. We had a wonderful buddy call yesterday. It was perfect just for both of us. We have some nice commonalities, so that was fun for me. Everything's going well. I don't have much to say, so I'll just make it short and sweet. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill?
Yeah, had a nice week. I unfortunately, Jennifer and I couldn't connect for a buddy call, but you have a nice week. Really happy to see everybody here and ready to go. Thanks.
Thank you. Wendy?
Thanks, TJ. Yeah, busy week. Connected with Ruth for our buddy call. It was lovely to have somebody in the same country, same time zone, and really enjoyed our communication, and enjoyed last night when we had the last of the empathy definition meetings. A real joy. Thanks, everyone.
Kara?
Hi, I'm Kara. I'm from Washington State in the Pacific Northwest. I had a wonderful buddy call, and I was charged by my buddy to be the liaison for empathy and eco-villages. So apparently that's my new gig. I didn't know that that was my calling, but it sounded right, and I said, okay, I agree.
Edwin?
Just excited. My brother bought a retreat center in Santa Barbara. I was there last week, so I couldn't be there. It's kind of in a very raw state, and I'm setting up a nonprofit, the Empathy Center, to have a physical space for empathy workshops and all kinds of workshops. So really excited about sort of expanding the empathy movement. Pretty excited about. And we'll be doing a series of visioning circles. So I hope everybody can come and take part in those visioning circles about what can we do there? How do we build a culture of empathy in the space and really spread the message about empathy and listening and care and all those good values. So yeah, that's me.
Ruth?
Yeah, hello. Ruth in London, UK. Enjoyed the can't talk, buddy call with Wendy. That was great. I have been on Zoom from 10 o'clock till about 4 today, so about 6 hours. So I might need to look away from the screen quite a lot. So sorry if I do that, if it puts you off.
Larry.
Hi, everybody. I'm Larry in Florida, and I'm loving these empathy circles. I'm excited and nervous and thrilled all at the same time. Had a wonderful buddy call with Alexandra, which was really fun. And I love these empathy circles. I just keep saying that over and over, and it's true. So that's my check-in.
Karen.
Yeah, I'm from Lockport, Illinois, and I really enjoyed last week's first training and the enjoyment of the empathy circle with the buddy, Kathy Kidd, was mutually enjoyable. So I really appreciated that. I've also had conversations for other practice. I have 2 empathy buddies that I've been meeting mostly weekly with for several years. So we're going to try this format, and I found somebody that would like to be listened to for an hour. So also looking forward to today. Yeah.
Alex.
Sorry, was that me?
Yes, Alex.
Sorry. G'day everyone, I'm Alex, I'm from Australia, but I'm currently on the east coast of the US. I wasn't here last week, so I'm joining you now, but I have caught up on all the materials, so I hope to seamlessly come in and join you all. It was nice to be here. I had a great buddy call with Larry during the week. And really value the chance to connect with people all over. I've moved here to the US not that long ago and really don't know very many people, so I appreciate any chance to connect in whatever way.
Jana.
Hi, I'm really happy to be here, and I'm in New York City, and I would love to see empathy circles for 8 billion people. I think that would be really beneficial for our planet. And it's really nice to see Alex here. She came to an ethics and empathy circle a couple of weeks ago. So that was really nice. And yeah, happy to be here. And no buddy call, because John was my buddy, and I was hoping he would get back to me, but it didn't happen.
Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, also in Florida, Fort Lauderdale. I enjoyed our first session last week and didn't do any of the homework, didn't really look at it. I fished it out of my spam folder and intended to get to it. I think I promised my father I would get to it like probably 3 times, including today. And I didn't do my buddy call, but I'm so happy to be here.
George.
Yeah, hi, I'm George from Georgia, the country, the city of Tbilisi, and I'm just here. But maybe I have these problems again with now that freezes you see, and so I prefer to just turn off. So yeah, the week was fine. Like I managed to do some empathy circle. I had this practice. The topic was about the success, and yeah, well, and I had this also the empathy buddy call with Anne Jordan, who maybe not present because she had some things to done, or maybe as she said. So thank you. That's pretty much that.
I had a little bit of trouble hearing you, George, and I'm sure that's on my end because I have a lot of background noise here with my elderly dog.
Okay.
Will not be quiet.
Yeah, I try to be.
Yeah. So I did want to mention to you, George, that I had to reinstall Zoom in order to get rid of my problems from last week. Okay, I just want to put that out there for you, George. Okay.
Okay. I'll try this. Okay, thank you.
Sally,
Thank
we're just doing the 30-second check-in.
Yeah, just woke up and very sorry. Yeah, literally just woke up.
Well, welcome. And I am DJ Chandler. I'm in North Central Florida as well as in Central Florida. And I'm originally from Los Angeles. This is my third training. So I had the participant training and then one other training. This is my second actual training. So I'm a trainee too, I think. Right, Edwin? I'm not sure. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to becoming a trainer. I absolutely love empathy circles, just as they are. And I'm going to turn it over to Larry and Bill.
Okay. Great. Larry, you want to?
Go ahead, Bill. Go ahead. You're
Oh,
fine.
okay. All right. So we just had one or two questions. So I'll kind of review them, give you my take. Larry, add or, and then we'll open up for a few short questions if you wish. So one of the questions was about the empathy circle in conflict situations, which will be the 5th session, and Edwin will be designing that, and we'll go into that in detail. The one quick tip that I think I can give is that sometimes when people are in a very heated conflict, the thing to do is to not immediately bring them into an empathy circle together, but the facilitator would talk to one group, establish some rapport, talk to the other group, establish some rapport, and then listen to them and feel when they might be ready to meet. Larry, anything else to that?
That was perfect. Thank you, Bill.
Sure. And then the other issue that was brought up earlier is what I call parrot or paraphrase. And a lot of people with NVC background will be very focused on getting to what they call the needs there, or we might call the values. And that's fine. In the empathy circle, it's meant to basically help people to start their process. And so people come with different skill levels. And also people want to be heard in different ways. So I've been criticized for not inferring, and I've been criticized for not inferring too much. And the thing is to really take the lead from the speaker as to what they feel comfortable with. And then as they start sharing, you see that it kind of evolves to a deeper, kind of more insightful place. But different people are at different stages. So that is a major difference, I believe, between the NVC and here. We're just trying to let the speaker be heard as they define that and as they feel comfortable with it. Larry?
Totally agree. And like Edwin says, we're giving you the foundation of empathy, which is the willingness to reflect back what someone said without changing it or judging it. Just that simple step to practice this foundation, to be able to trust it, that it works as it is. And then with experience, if you want to adventure into guessing feelings and needs, go for it. But get this foundation part right first.
Great, Larry. Okay. Are there any other questions that any of you have going forward? Okay. So I don't really see that. And so,
Can I just interject here for a second, Bill?
Sure, yeah.
I'm looking around at everybody's names, and I'm not sure, because I was the one that talked about it in the beginning, that if you don't want to be recorded, you need to have an X next to your name. But if you're okay with being recorded, you need an R. So it would either be an R or an X, right? Am I good with that, everybody? Okay.
And this is recording in the breakout room. So only one breakout room will be recorded. So yeah. And it's the one I'm in.
Okay.
I do have one question.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Just as you're talking about to take the lead from the speaker on how they'd like to be heard or listened to,
Yes.
I'm just wondering if you have any examples or guidance on how do you take the lead from the speaker, like just if they're giving you feedback or somehow, or is there some other way that you use to understand how people want to be listened to? Yeah.
Well, again, as you build your skills, you can start to see. So generally, I listen to take the feedback, see what the speaker says, and really focus on that. As you start to get a little insightful and more and familiar with Zoom, sometimes you can read facial expressions or something like that, and so you can start to do that. But I basically try to be fairly literal, meeting people for the first time and then going off that, and then taking their cue. Larry, anything else?
Yeah, exactly. As the speaker develops confidence, they will tell you. They like to have everything reflected back or not, and they like interpretations or not. They will tell you. You let the speaker be the guide. And what I've noticed is that sometimes when people come in and they object to this being parroted back in the beginning, after a while, if you don't reflect back every word, they will remind you that you left something out, and they want to hear the word that they said. And it's amazing how we human beings are. It's amazing to watch it unfold and just have empathy and letting it all unfold, not trying to steer the ship, just letting it flow. That's my feedback.
Great. And then I saw Kara, you had your hand raised.
So I struggled with this really, really, really hard my first round in, like chewed on it. And so I'd love to share my experience, and I don't know that this will work for you, but this is what worked for me. I focused on repeating what I heard. I didn't put any parameters beyond that. If that's what I heard, that's what I said. And if I didn't hear it right, they would tell me. And then I would know, oh, they really like to use specific words. Like they'll repeat that same word 3 times. We're like, okay, words are important for this person. Or they'll be like, yeah, that's about it. And then they'll go on with their, and be like, okay, so what I heard was enough. So I just focused on what did I hear and how could I say it back? And then they correct it.
Yeah, and the kind of paradigm I said is that imagine talking to a stranger or a very good friend. A friend would sort of, be more comfortable with your insights and your guesses and things like that, but a stranger may not. So in the beginning, like Kara said, I tend to go a little bit more literal, and then as we sort of get a feel for it, I might, infer a little bit more or not. The speaker may say, as some have, hey, I just want you to really just as purely as possible, and that's fine. Okay. Anything else?
Jennifer has her hand up.
Oh yes, Jennifer. Sorry.
Okay. Do you have a quick way of telling me how to change and put like an R or whatever, an X next to my name? I seem to be the only one that doesn't have that figured out.
Sure. If you put the cursor in your box with your Zoom.
No, the thing is, we're all on different devices. Yeah, I don't have a cursor. I'm on the iPad, so it's all on my screen here. You know what I mean?
Like, do you have any kind of indication to select?
What's your preference, X or R?
So, like, I have no preference. So, if I leave it like that and I'm being recorded now, can my verbal be like enough so I don't have to find the place?
I can add it to you. You okay with being recorded?
Just did.
Okay, you got it.
Oh,
okay.
good. Thank you. Thank you.
So other people, facilitators can change it for you too.
Oh, cool. So yeah, I didn't know that. Great. Thanks so much.
All right. Probably should go to the next step.
Yep. And I believe Wendy will be doing the breakout room description.
Yes. Thank you very much, Bill. So all of the participants have an exciting half an hour or so each ahead of you. you're invited, when we go into breakout rooms, each of you will have a time to practice facilitating a mini empathy circle. The context is that you are facilitating an empathy circle with people who are not familiar with the practice. So when you're in your breakout room, you will be asked to introduce the how-to practice. Hopefully, you've all had a look at the cheat sheet, as it's called, the how-to, and you're asked to explain, taking no more than 5 minutes, how to do an empathy circle. You'll introduce the topic, which today will be, what are your thoughts and concerns about being an empathy circle facilitator, or whatever is alive for you? And that will be in chat. We'll have 4-minute turns. And if you remember, you as the facilitator will be the first listener. And then after, depending on how many are in your breakout group, if there are 2 participants, you'll have 25 minutes, say, to do your introduction and to facilitate the empathy circle. And then there'll be 5 minutes or so for a debrief for everybody in the circle to just, give feedback. And then if there are 2 participants, that will be repeated. I don't think there'll be any groups with 3 participants, but there might be. So an exciting time as we go into breakout rooms. Have we got any questions about the experience? Okay, thank you.
Is the total time 90 minutes, or what is the total time?
90
Yes.
minutes. Mm-hmm.
90 minutes. So depending on how many participants, the trainee will have to divide the time up. Yeah. Thank you, DJ. Any other questions?
Okay. And I'll give about a 10-minute warning before the session is closed. Send a little broadcast that to everyone.
Thanks.
And like Wendy says, any other? Yeah, Dee? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Wendy.
Sure. Have we come up with a standard for the timer? I've been playing with that a little bit. I think I can do it. Does anybody have any ideas what we should do with that?
Dee, you can, if you wish, you can keep the time yourself as the facilitator, or you can ask somebody else. You could ask the trainee or the trainer in your group to keep the time. So it's your choice, whichever you feel most comfortable with. Is that okay, Dee?
Sure, that's great. Thanks.
Ideally, you as a facilitator will keep the time, and there are programs. There's a program that maybe we should give a demonstration of that at some point on Zoom, that you can use a timer. Otherwise, it's like a clock, your cell phone, or there's some programs you can go to Google, just search timer, and they have a stopwatch there too. So those are just some.
Sally, your hands raised.
Just wanted to say that practicing, even if you're not the facilitator at the moment, I practice in every empathy circle I'm in to improve my timing, because it's so easy to get lost and forget. I don't know if that's just me, but
Thank you, Sally, for being willing to practice again. Thank you. Any other questions?
I think we're ready to go into the rooms. That's best way is just to experience it and learn by doing. So we're going to go into those rooms, and let's see. We have we're all set. Let me hit the open all rooms button. Make sure you're all set. Okay, so here we go. See you in your breakout room.
Oh, we have a
Okay.
big room.
Now there's people that are taking time to move. Yeah. We have D. Ruth should be moving, hopefully. Sometimes it takes a little while for people to move. There's something with Zoom. Oh, she dropped, looked like.
We have 2 Ruths.
There's 2 Ruths. Okay.
You want to get started, or
Yeah, we could get started. There, I think she moved. Maybe she was having technical problems.
So, who would like to be the first participant, the first facilitator? Jonathan or Dee? Jonathan? Okay. Let me see. And then you get to choose how you like the timer. This is one option.
I have a timer. 4 minutes or 5?
Okay.
It's actually, yeah, it's 4 since we're a small group. Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah, so it's 5.
I'm going to pick 4. Let me see. So, Jana, you're our.
I'm the room facilitator. So
Got it. Okay. So now I have we have 4 people. So I have we have 3 people. So I have 25 minutes.
45 minutes because we have 2 participants. You and D are participants. So.
Oh, okay. And
Edwin's a player. You can call on Edwin to speak.
Yeah, I'm a participant. I can
all right.
dialogue, but I'm the room trainer.
Well, 45 minutes. Let's go.
Let's go.
So imagine that we're just totally new to the practice, and they're going to help us out here. What do we do?
Well, I'd like to welcome everyone who's attending today, and we are going to come together as a group and support each other in meaningful conversation. This will be facilitated by an empathy circle, and the empathy circle is a structured dialogue that we all will participate in equally. We will be having 4 minutes apiece to speak, and the speaker will be speaking to an active listener who will be reflecting what the speaker says. Now, what this means is the speaker talks to the active listener and directs their speech to the active listener, say for about a sentence or 2 or a simple concept. And then the active listener reflects back what the speaker has said. Now, also present are listeners, and the listeners will not intervene or not say anything during the time that the speaker is speaking, and they will have an opportunity to speak when it's their turn. There'll be a facilitator, and I'll be in that role, and the facilitator keeps time, explains the instructions as I'm doing now, and occasionally interjects into the conversation if someone is being left out. He might, the facilitator may suggest, oh, you should call on someone because they haven't had a turn yet. Also, the facilitator may speak up if there's a disturbance in the process. For example, if someone interrupts consistently or repeatedly through a misunderstanding of the process, then the facilitator would point it out. I want everyone here to agree to behave sensibly and respect everyone's individuality. And with that said, I'm going to demonstrate active listening first. And is there a volunteer that would like to speak to me?
Before you do that, let's just
introductions.
I'm
I'm so
I'd like to give feedback on how to.
Yeah, I think she wanted to give feedback on the how-to. So is like Jenna's saying.
Would anyone like to give me feedback on the how-to?
You want to share first, like how it was for you?
For me personally, I just kind of, I think it rolled off the top of my head, and I hope I hit all the points. I forgot to do the introductions.
Introductions are optional.
Okay.
Well, if everyone here was new, and I didn't do the introductions, then that's a process gaffe. So. Could we, Edwin, would you like to do a short introduction?
Edwin Rutch, in San Francisco Bay Area, founder of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Edwin. And Jana, would you?
Jana Weiss, I'm in New York City, and I love empathy circles, and it would be great if 8 billion people were into empathy circles.
And Dee?
Hi, my name's Dee. I'm from Pennsylvania. And I'm enjoying the empathy circle training.
Well, thank you. I think this is, it's very important because often we have names we can't pronounce, and this is an ideal time to make sure that we can pronounce our guests or the people present in the empathy circle in how to say their names correctly.
I'd like to give Jonathan, are you finished?
Well, does anyone have any constructive suggestions or criticism to improve my opening?
Yeah, well, I'll take turns giving some feedback. Dee, would you like to give some feedback to Jonathan on his how-to?
I'm new to this too. I'm going with the flow. I'm learning with you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, Edwin, would you like to give feedback? Or?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you knew what you're doing, like you've done it before, which you have. So the one thing is at the beginning, I kind of make a point that it's free speech. It's not like, yeah, you should be respectful, right? It's like, hey, you have free speech. So that's the one thing I would kind of open up. Like, if you want to be disrespectful, if you're, you know what I mean? It's like you have free speech to be whoever you are. So that's just kind of the one kind of grounding point. Yeah.
I will benefit by thinking about it. It's unfortunate that the word free speech has become a weasel word. It's become politicized, and it doesn't mean the same thing to every single person. So I'm sure that there's let me work on trying to figure out a more tactful way of setting the boundaries. But I do think it's important that boundaries are established in the initial opening speech.
So I thought your how-to was fine. You hit all the main points, and you added the introduction, which is important.
Well, thank you. Personally, I'm having a lot of trouble with my computers. I had to set up a second screen for my notebook. I'm still having a lot of trouble navigating all the documents and getting them, organized so they're at my fingertips. What I would have liked to have done was to be able to pull up on the share the graphic, which gives the 4 defined roles. Also of benefit would be just a little outline of the opening speech. And clearly we have the 6-minute and 10-minute how-to videos that Edwin has very thoughtfully provided for us. bottom line, there's a lot of materials, a lot of technology. I'm getting better at juggling things, but you absolutely need two screens to make things work with Zoom flawlessly.
I guess to your concern, I would say about free speech and being respectful, as I use the word empathy when I do the how-to introduction. So I say that we're not only becoming empathic listeners, but we're also becoming empathic speakers. And you can speak in, just say one or two ideas or a short phrase, and allow the other people. It makes it easier for the other person to reflect, because they're new to reflecting. So we become empathic speakers. So empathic speaker and empathic listener kind of covers the how we speak to each other. Sometimes.
Before we go into too much discussion, this was just quick feedback. We should just use the empathy circle to discuss all these topics. So,
go ahead. So
sounds like you were the first speaker, Jana. Maybe you want to just keep going, or.
All right, so you can reflect what I just said.
I'm going to start the timer. Jana, speak to Edwin.
No, to you. You're the first listener.
Speak to me.
I was just addressing your concern about being respectful, saying that I often point out that we're not only becoming empathic listeners, we're also becoming empathic speakers.
So you were just taking the moment or the opportunity to share with us the concepts of empathic listener and empathic speaker, and you feel that covers the territory of prohibiting negative reflection or general callousness on the part of participants.
Yeah, I didn't say that. That was implied, but that's fine. I agree. And you can reflect that.
You're telling me that my extension to your statement was implied, but you didn't say that.
But it's okay.
But it's okay.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. So the topic is, what are your thoughts and concerns about an empathy circle facilitator? So one thing I like to do when I'm facilitating is I do like to keep everyone in the process.
One of the things that you like to do when you're facilitating an empathy circle is to make sure that all the participants are meaningfully engaged in the circle.
Yeah, so sometimes I reserve my procedural comments. Instead of interjecting or interrupting the circle process, I'll wait until my turn to add whatever comments I have about the process.
You're sharing with us a key insight in navigating gracefully empathy circles, in that rather than using the host position to interrupt the flow, what you do is wait until it's your turn to speak, and then you can address a topic during that time.
Yeah, a process topic, not only a topical topic.
More specifically, you use your time as a speaker to address a process issue or a structural issue that occurred during the previous interactions.
I appreciate Edwin reminding me that that's what we should be doing.
And you appreciate Edwin's coaching us and reminding us that's what we should be doing. Yeah. Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And, I'm not too worried about facilitating this this room because Edwin's here.
You're saying that you're not at all worried about facilitating this room because Edwin is here.
How much time do I have?
41 seconds.
And what else do I want to say? Yeah, I love empathy circles.
You paused for a moment and then you just came to you that you said, I love empathy circles. You enjoy and you're smiling, and you really enjoy being here.
Yeah, and I feel fully heard. Thank you so much.
Well, you're so welcome. Dee, would you like to reflect or listen, be an active listener for me for about 4 minutes?
I'm listening.
Okay. As I said earlier, I'm a bit overwhelmed with mastering the tools of this exercise.
As you've mentioned before, you are a little overwhelmed with mastering all of the technology tools of this exercise.
Yeah, but it will come together with practice.
If you're confident, it will come together with practice.
And I'm absolutely intrigued by the mention. Ron seemed like an interesting participant, and I've heard him speaking about his work a number of times, and it's very sad that, to me, that politics entered into it. I was vaguely aware of the issue last week, but didn't know there was also a political dynamic to it.
You're speaking of something that happened last week with a man named Ron and something about politics.
Yes, and as we go through the training, it's to give us experience working with these actual things that happen. And so it was almost I wasn't in the room, but it was almost, a genuine training moment.
So it was a genuine training moment for you because we're supposed to be getting an experience of what to do when these special situations come up during the sessions.
Kind of. I didn't benefit from it, but I'm only benefiting now in retrospect because the topic is, because everyone's talking about the topic.
You didn't benefit at that point, but now that we're discussing the topic, it's more apparent for you.
Yes, and in my personal quest to use empathy circles to improve governance in Vallejo, of course politics is going to come up. And so learning how to diffuse that type of a situation between political factions is of interest to me.
All right. Your main focus is working empathy circles with the people of Vallejo, and diffusing topics is of a lot of interest to you.
Yes, and I also have an interest in home care, and I'm also interested in putting empathy in schools. So we have, applying empathy to politics, applying empathy to school training for the kids in schools, and in healthcare, especially caregivers working in hospice and caring for dementia patients. I think that reflective listening and empathy circles and this type of training is necessary, will improve the work environment and the operation of all of these areas.
So there's three main areas that you'd like to bring empathy circles to. The elderly, the people handling the elderly, the political system, and you mentioned something about at home that I didn't pick up.
At home nursing care.
At home nursing care. Okay, thank you.
Caregivers in the home.
Home nursing care.
Well, thank you very much, Dee. I feel fully heard. And now it's your opportunity to speak and pick an active listener.
Okay, I didn't get the chance to try this. All right, I'll turn off the volume because that's not good. So that was my test for a speaker. All right, Ansel, and I hope that works. We'll see what happens.
Jonathan's actually the timekeeper for this part.
For the whole thing.
For the whole thing, yeah. So you're off the hook. Yeah, but if you want to practice, sure. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Jana, will you be my listener?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm kind of being like a sponge and I'm soaking it all in. I'm confident that all the pieces will come together smoothly for me over time.
So you're soaking this all up like a sponge and you're hoping that all the pieces will fall into place soon.
Yeah, and I love my background because it reminds me of Pennsylvania, and I'm in Pennsylvania, but I am not loving how my arms disappear.
Reflecting on this whole Zoom situation and that you love your background, which reminds you of Pennsylvania and you live in Pennsylvania. But since you have this background, your arms are disappearing and pieces of you are disappearing.
Yeah. And it's distracting to me, and I suspect it's distracting to other people. And I hate to, I'm going to have to come to terms with probably letting the background go.
And you realizing that it might be distracting to distracting to you, it might be distracting to others, and so you might let go of your nice moving creek there. And
yeah. All right, so let me see here. I'm doing fine with the training. I guess the other thing to a topic, of course, is what's alive in us now. And I just changed the headlights on my car. I bought them at AutoZone, came back, had a friend help me put it in. I'll stop there.
so you're realizing that we can also talk about what's alive for us now. And so you're sharing that you just changed the headlights on your car that you got in AutoZone with the help of a friend.
And after I got them all situated, my friend called me back and said, oh, by the way, don't touch the light bulbs because the oil from your hands can make the bulb blow out quicker. And I see Jonathan nodding his head. You know, I'll stop there.
So your friend said, don't touch the light bulbs with oil on your hands because it might blow out the light bulbs.
Right, it shortens its lifespan, apparently, just the oil from your fingertips, not necessarily oil from any other source.
So even just oil from the fingertips, natural oil, can shorten the lifespan of the bulb.
Right. So I really wish that secret would be put on the boxes of the light bulbs that you buy.
And so you wish that this would be widely disseminated on the boxes of the AutoZone headlights.
Yeah, because now I have to jimmy out those light bulbs and douse them with some rubbing alcohol and put them back in. It shouldn't be too bad of a problem, but it's a little tricky. It's a little nerve-wracking.
I see. So now you feel like you have to take out these light bulbs and clean them off with alcohol and then put them back, and so a bit because for you.
Yes, thank you, Jen. I feel fully heard.
Edwin, would you be willing to listen to me?
Listening.
So there's a few more things about a few thoughts about being a facilitator that I'd like to share. And one of them is that when that timer goes off, or when you see the clock, if you're using a Zoom app clock, when the timer ends and somebody hasn't finished speaking, they're in mid-sentence or hasn't been reflecting yet, or even if they're kind of in a flow and there's a little bit another sentence that they really want to add and have reflected, I'll sometimes, just let it go and let people finish their thought until they're ready to stop.
So another facilitation sort of topic is that if the time is over and people are going over a little bit, you kind of give them that time and space to go over to kind of finish what they're saying.
Yeah, and sometimes people don't pay attention to the timer sound or when the clock disappears. So I also have this little sign. So when I do my little how-to introduction, I sometimes share my little signs. Remember to pause or time, or I'll share that sometimes I'll pause there.
Yeah, you have some more tips. These are tips about the time sign and the remember to pause sign. So you're just giving some tips on facilitation.
Yeah, and I'll also sometimes in the how-to intro will share that the listener can also kind of make a timeout or request verbally from the speaker to pause if it's a little too much for them, if the speaker forgets to pause.
So another tip that you like to share is that the listener can ask for a time, you know, pause. So if they, and that's another tip.
Yeah, and then if the listener doesn't request the pause, you know, or the speaker doesn't remember, then, you know, as the facilitator, I might, you know, make a timeout or show the sign. I rarely use this other side. I usually just use my hand to remind the speaker to pause.
So you want the listener to know that they can ask for a pause, but if it seems like the speaker's going on for a long time, you may hold up a remember to pause sign.
Yeah, or make a timeout sign.
A timeout.
And I would say that when I first started doing facilitation, I really struggled with the timers.
And at first, when you're doing facilitation, the whole timing was sort of a struggle for you.
Yeah, finding a timer that worked for me, and knowing what to do with it. Like, I have one timer with a really nice chime sound, so sometimes I just leave my speaker, my microphone open so that people can just hear the little nice chime sound.
So one strategy approach you had was you had a little timer, it had some chimes to it, so you had it so people could hear it when it went off.
Yeah, now with Larry, I'm using this huge Zoom app clock that kind of takes up half the screen. I don't know how I feel about that.
And so you got a Zoom app that the built-in timer that you're starting to use. You're not quite sure how, you know, how you like that yet.
Yeah, and what else? And Larry and I are combining ethics and empathy, the 16 guidelines with empathy circles.
You got a series of empathy with ethics, 16 guidelines that you and Larry are doing. Sounds like you're feeling some excitement about that.
Yeah, and I feel fully heard. Thank you so much, Edwin.
Okay, speak to Dee then.
Okay, Edwin, I'm listening.
Yeah, so what Jana said before about trying to do as much of the procedural information within the empathy circle, that's really my approach too. Try to not have too much outside of the circle itself, but use the process for the even the educational part. So that's good, really good point.
Okay, so using the empathy circle process, where we all have speakers and listeners, is a good way to move forward with the training for the empathy circle.
Yeah, and the other thing is this topic of being, you know, setting this topic like, oh, be respectful, you know, don't say, like, kind of making all these sort of restrictions on what people can say. I try to avoid that, to make it say whatever you would like. You know, that's usually comes under free speech, you know, just the topic of free speech. That I don't want to put restrictions on people. I want them to express themselves as they feel comfortable.
So you're conscious of using restrictive words when describing what to talk about in the empathy circle. You want people to feel comfortable to say whatever is alive for them.
Yeah, I think what Jonathan was saying about the boundaries, the process is the boundary, right? It's like you can say what you want, someone will hear you, respond with whatever you're saying with empathy, but then in return, you're going to have to respond to what they're saying with empathy. So it's sort of that empathy that starts, is a very powerful effect.
So you're saying that the natural attribute of empathy has a very powerful effect of maintaining the boundaries in the circle.
Yeah, the process. Yeah. So people, you know, a lot of people are very frustrated. They have a lot of anger, you know, especially a type of mediation work, and they'll just let rip, you know, judgments and kind of negative sort of stuff. And when they get to vent it, and when it gets heard, it just sort of dissipates on its own.
So you're saying that, especially when you're doing a mediation session, people have a lot of pent up anger and judgment, and that you've noticed through the trainings that once they get that out there and get it off their chest, things naturally tamper down.
Yeah, and then they, especially if they feel like they're not restricted, from saying what they want to say, they feel, oh, I can just say whatever I want, and that's also a calming effect too, knowing that you can express yourself as you wish.
It's also a comforting notion for them that they can say whatever they want. There's no holes or that's whatever that saying is. They
Yeah.
can say whatever is on their mind and on their heart.
Exactly. Yeah. And their feelings too. Share whatever feelings, and I think that'll be like in doing mediate community events like in Vallejo and so forth, when people know that they can go to this place and just share, the frustrations, it'll kind of get it out there, and it'll go deeper, the relationships, I think, will go deeper over time.
And you're saying that Jonathan's situation in Vallejo, just allowing people to go ahead and vent, to say what they feel, that over time things will flush out.
Yeah, and the school boards, like you see the current school boards, people screaming and yelling at each other, get it out, have it be heard, and I think that takes the temperature down, so.
As well as with the school board, once they get all their angst out, that will bring the temperature down in the room.
Yeah, I feel fully heard. Thanks, Dee.
Jonathan, will you be my listener?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you. Well, this is fun. I love these empathy circles.
This is fun, and you're enjoying these empathy circles.
And I'm going to bring my conversation away from headlight bulbs to empathy.
And you're going to move from headlights bulb best practice to empathy.
I'm doing okay with the process. I think I'm going to pass, and whatever else needs to come up for anyone else, just let that happen. Thank you. I feel fully heard.
You're absorbing the process, and at this moment you'd like to pass, and you feel fully heard.
Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. I'm going to start the timer up again. Excuse me, Jana, would you reflect?
Sure.
Okay, starting the timer. I have seen what Edwin was describing actually work. Unrestricted opportunity for a person to speak their mind and to actually be heard. I've seen it actually relieve and improve the situation.
So you're sharing and acknowledging that what Edwin said actually works. You've seen it in action, where somebody is maybe distressed or sharing freely what is on their mind, and then when they're heard, they feel relief.
And so I support. I support what Edwin said, in that if in my instructions as a facilitator I am restrictive, that may put someone off. It's going to turn them off and not allow them to start opening up, because maybe that their style is that they're a little overwhelming or a little boisterous, or they have colorful, say, bar language. Let's say bar language.
So you're kind of acknowledging also that on second thought, that what Edwin said might actually be helpful, good advice, because if you are very restrictive or even somewhat restrictive in your language and boundary setting at the beginning, that it might be off-putting and uninviting to somebody who's a little more boisterous or a little more, their language is a little bit more whatever. Um, However you describe
Colorful.
colorful language. Okay, thank you. So you think it could actually be restrictive? So maybe better just to let the process.
Yeah, and I admire Edwin for being so patient, because I have heard him say at least this something similar at least twice.
And you appreciate Edwin's patience because you've heard him say something similar at least twice.
And today, my focus for 3 hours is to try and improve my ability to facilitate. And so it is complex. Make no mistake, this is complex because we have a moment to influence or improve people's lives. And the facilitator takes on a responsibility, and it's hard because also somehow the facilitator has to protect the individuals involved. And so so it's a balance. You know, it's I'm trying to get my hands into the screen. It's a balance.
So you're feeling a little bit of weight of the facilitator role, that there's a responsibility, your responsibility to the participants, and so you feel that at the same time, and so it's a balance between allowing and maybe having constructive boundaries.
And the closest I've ever gotten to giving into faith is what I've learned from Bill and Edwin, which is trust the process. And I feel fully heard after you reply.
The closest you've ever gotten to faith is the empathy circle, trusting the process, that you learned from Bill and Edwin.
Thank you.
Dee, would you like to listen to me?
Okay, I'm ready.
Restart.
Yeah, I had the same thought as Jonathan when Edwin shared that when people are kind of expressing themselves openly and intensely, and when they feel very strongly, when they're heard, that helps to dissipate or calm or relieve their angst.
So you said you had the same thoughts as Jonathan when Edwin was talking about how the angst disappears once they get their chance to vent.
Yeah, I've used this practice in one of the most difficult conversations I ever had in my life.
Oh, you've used this process in one of the most difficult conversations you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, and it was amazing. I was able to pause after I spoke and say to this person, would you be willing to reflect what I just said?
So you asked the person that you're doing this with, would you be willing just to reflect what I just said?
Yeah, this is just like a normal, difficult, very difficult conversation.
This is just a normal, very difficult conversation.
And the person paused and smiled and reflected some of what I said.
Oh, and the person paused and smiled and reflected some of what you'd said.
Yeah, and when this person became quite aggressive towards me and demanding, rather than retorting or commenting or saying what I thought was right or wrong, I asked, would you like me to reflect what you just said?
And once they had their chance to vent their concerns, you asked, was it okay for you to reflect what they just said?
Yeah, and they paused and said yes. And so I reflected what they said, and that was end of story.
So they said yes, you paused and reflected what they said, and that completed the situation that was at hand.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah, so I became like completely grateful for this practice to help me through this most difficult situation where I met these people, had two concerns, and both my concerns were met.
Well, you're very grateful to this practice of empathy circle because you had 2 concerns and both of them were met through this practice.
Yeah, it was just amazing. And what else do I want to share? I guess that's it. I feel heard. Thank you.
You're welcome. Edwin, will you be my listener?
Listening.
So the way I want to use the empathy circle is much more peaceful. It's with clients of mine that I've been doing some energy healing with.
So the approach you're wanting to use a circle for is with your energy clients, and it's sort of more of a peaceful approach.
And these explosive situations would be, like an advanced concept for me.
Yeah, so these explosive energy situations are kind of more advanced for you.
Yeah. So but I'll keep it in mind if I ever have a conflict with someone, because what I usually do is kind of just back down.
Yeah, you're going to keep this in mind for if you do have a conflict, you usually back down, or sounds like maybe withdraw.
And I think that's one of the benefits of the empathy circle, is to help us remember to pause and then be empathetic and move forward in that kind of a mindset.
You're seeing the benefit of the empathy circle that just helps you remember to pause and then sort of move forward with that type of a mindset.
Thank you, Edwin. I feel fully heard.
Okay. We only have 5 minutes, so do we do a 5-minute debrief at this point?
Yeah, that was just what I was going to say. So,
Okay.
Jonathan, you want to say first how this was for you?
I think it's very valuable. I learned something new today. The idea, the idea of how preconception can lead to the wrong outcome, and by my expecting the participants to break the rules and my laying down these are the rules, I'm stifling the process. And my preconception, I believe, is that the opposite political party or the group of people that don't want to move the police station down to the waterfront from its current location. In other words, you have all these civic problems and stuff going on. And if we walk into it with the idea that people are going to be wrong, or people are going to say bad words, or people are going to be abusive, then we poison the situation. So the facilitator has to just grok, or to understand what they're doing in the moment and go with the flow and protect people when necessary, but not pre-impose some conception on them like they're going to get out of line.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. Is there anything you want to add about just the process and the practice of it?
I'm constantly amazed at how powerful the process is, and I have seen examples in the past, where the process salvaged everything. Right now, I'm just struggling to learn all the documentation and to get the process to be second nature and reflexive rather than deliberate. So I can be more in the moment, I think. I'm not sure, but I tend to analyze too much and think too much, and
That's good. Okay, do you give some feedback? You want to give some feedback to Jonathan?
I couldn't hear what you just said, Jana.
Would you like to give some feedback to Jonathan about his facilitation?
Nothing comes to mind. I'm sorry, I'm not very dramatic today. I'm just kind of going along with the ride here. Sounds great. We're doing great. I like grokking. That's good.
Edwin, you want to?
Yeah, I felt comfortable, once we were doing the process, that everything just flowed. So I thought everything flowed. The topic was really interesting. So felt very comfortable doing it.
Yeah, I felt fine too, and no problem with the timekeeping and letting us know when I talked about stuff. And as for the other, I learned a new term today from the Templeton Foundation. They have a video out called "Intellectual Humility" about intellectual humility. When we have some idea and then we're humble enough to revise our idea and learn something new. And I'll share that. And I like disappearing arms. It's kind of cool.
I did want to just add one point in that there is a real structure to the process. So it's not like, hey, it's boundaryless. There's a lot of boundaries, and the process is the boundary, right? And so I'm not like, hey, just say, do whatever you want. It's like you got your time limit, you got to reflect. So it's like you'd mentioned it, Jonathan, about trusting the process. I think that is sort of core. And just maintaining, keeping people in it, and that's what you did. So that's great.
Yeah. All right, Dee, you ready to start us off? Okay,
Absolutely, yeah.
We're brand new to Empathy Circle, so you can.
Okay, so I have 2:15. We're going to go to 2:45.
We're going all the way to the top of the hour, but we'll stop to reflect how the how-to went, and we'll stop to reflect how the whole circle went before the.
What time do you want to end the empathy circle at? 2:45? Did you? No. 45?
About 2:50, right?
Yeah, 2:50, 55, like that.
Okay. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Dee. I'm from Pennsylvania, and we're going to do an empathy circle today. I'd like to go around and everyone just briefly introduce themselves, please. Jana?
I'm Jana. I live in New York, and I'm an acupuncturist and other things.
Thank you. Jonathan?
My name is Jonathan Gordon, and I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I'd like to apply the empathy circle process to improving the Vallejo community.
Oh, great. Thank you. And Edwin?
I'm Edwin and Rutch. I'm also in the San Francisco Bay Area. And somebody just told me about these empathy circles, that I should really check it out. I don't know anything about it, so I'm really curious what we're going to do today.
Okay, thank you, Edwin. So an empathy circle is a format of speaking where we've got a person who says what's on their mind, what's close to them, and they have a person who is assigned to listen to them. The speaker can call on someone in the group to listen to them, and the speaker can chat about whatever comes up for them. We're going to go for 4 minutes today for each person, and then the listener reflects back what they're hearing until the speaker feels heard and understood to their satisfaction. Then when it's the listener's turn to select who they will speak to, and for that listener to reflect back what they are hearing. I said that wrong. Then it's the listener's turn to select who they will speak to, and for that new listener to reflect back what they're hearing. Everyone holds the circle process by monitoring and sticking to the steps. And the dialogue continues like this and goes around the circle until 2:50. So just a few tips for the speaker. You want to pause often to give the listener a chance to reflect what they heard. Also, when you're done talking and you feel heard, you can say, I feel fully heard, to indicate that you're done with your turn. Now, tips for the listener, for the reflector. In your own words, go ahead and reflect back the essence of what you hear the speaker saying. Also, please refrain from asking any questions, doing any judging, analyzing, detaching, diagnosing, or sympathizing. That's not what we're here to do today. We're just here to reflect back exactly what the person heard. And then when it comes around to your session, I don't want to say that. Okay, so you may also ask the speaker to pause periodically so you can reflect back to them what you heard. The rest of the group, we're just called silent listeners, and we're to listen and be present to the exchange between the speaker and active listener / reflector. You will soon have a turn to speak and actively listen again. So today we're going to be talking about participating in an empathy circle. Is there anyone who'd like to go first?
Okay, we'll pause there to give feedback. So Jonathan, first Dee, how is this for you?
First time, first time. I'm just going through it. We're just going to go through it. I'm fine.
Okay. Jonathan, you want to give any feedback to Dee?
Just that it takes doing it over and over and over and over again. And as soon as you've done it multiple times, that'll pull you off script and, to be more bodily present. So it's practice, practice, practice.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing that, because I did it from memory. And then you covered a lot of points that I would have liked to have said. I'm going, why didn't I say that? Why didn't I say that? So there's a trade-off between committing it to memory and then having a script in front of you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was great with just going through the script, reading it. It covers everything. So I thought everything was covered. We did have the topic was what are your thoughts and concerns? So I think it wasn't I think you didn't quite have the full topic for today there. Also, I kind of post it when we do the circle. I'll often post it in the chat just as so everyone has it as a reference. But yeah, just reading the script I think is great to start with, and because you cover all the points. That's how I would start too. So.
And go ahead.
Every time I go through this as a facilitator, I try and add something. And what Edwin said was so important. We share a lot of data, and so being able to cut and paste something into the chat and share that, like the topic or a link to the how-to or a link to the video. So anyway, so you're sitting here thinking about, gosh, I've got 5 people here and I'm running an empathy circle, and you've got to remember to cut and paste and put something in the chat. So you need to practice, or I'm finding it very important to practice. Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah, the only comment that I had, thank you, Jonathan. The only comment that I had was the same as Edwin's, that it's not just about how it is to be a participant in an empathy circle, but how it is to facilitate. That's experience about facilitating, becoming facilitators. So Jonathan just modeled for us some thoughts and concerns about being. So let's do it now in the practice. Go ahead, you can take it away.
Right, thank you. I didn't do that well. I appreciate that. I missed that.
It's not in the script, so we need to make a better script that adds the facilitation comments.
Well, but that's specific to this one circle, how it is to be in circle and how it is to facilitate a circle. Those are the things that are present for us with this circle. And so I've been playing with the whole timer thing, and my cell phone goes into sleep mode after, I don't know, 3 minutes. So I'm like, that blew my whole cell phone thing. So I'm just going to keep going on with the circle. I'm going to use my clock here, and I'll just keep time.
Manual. I'm gonna do this. If you like, you can try it. Wait a minute. This is a timer that I like. And if you like, you can try it. Of course, you don't have to. And then there's a Zoom app here. So I'm just sharing, this is my favorite. I have it marked as ECFT, Empathy Circle Facilitator Training Timer on my toolbar.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to reset it.
Whatever you're comfortable with right now.
So we're going to do 4 minutes, and we're going to do, this is my first time with this. Done. And who would like to be the first speaker? And I'll be the first listener. Okay, Jonathan, thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. So these topics have come up in my work on with Bill on trying to do empathy in schools and have a session on Thursdays.
Oh, this topic of doing empathy in schools has come up with Bill, and you're going to be discussing that on Thursdays.
More specifically, I've been doing the facilitation for the Empathy in Schools project in order to better learn how to be a facilitator. And so this is so that I could be a backup to Bill if he needed a day off.
Okay, so you've been providing empathy circles in school and with the intention of becoming a backup for Bill in case he needs a day off. Yes,
and eventually I want to conduct my own empathy in school circles in Vallejo. There's Bill's and Edwin's empathy circles are kind of global, and I see a need for also local empathy circles that are with local people.
Okay, so Bill and Edwin's empathy circles are globally focused, whereas you're interested in doing local empathy circles, and specifically you want to be able to do empathy circles in Vallejo for the school district.
Yeah, close. It's more that they serve two different functions, and I think everyone is in the process of sorting out how to deal with a global world, the whole world, and then how to deal with your neighborhood right outside your street. I mean, that's a real, how do you balance the two?
So you think that that's a common theme going on now? How do we balance what's happening here locally with what's happening globally?
And one of the challenges we have is that for many reasons we don't do the 2 hour and a half or 2 hour empathy circle. We do a shorter session.
So lately you've been doing shorter sessions instead of the 2 and 2.5 hour circles.
Well, the teaching profession and the demands of timing and scheduling don't find a 2 hour session a deterrent. And so when we make it a shorter session, we get more attendance.
So in the school system, having a 2 hour session is prohibitive, and you get more participants if it's a shorter session.
And let me cut to the chase. The approach that I've been taking is to minimize the video, minimize the explanation, and minimize everything. And I try and jump right in to demonstrating active listening and picking somebody who, you know, any old person. Oh, would you speak to me? And then when it's my turn to speak, I spend that time talking about the rules and the structure of the empathy circle. And that's exactly what Edwin was saying, in that I can use my speaker time to kind of explain to the new people how the process works.
All right, so you really truncated your introduction speech about the empathy circle, and you jumped right into picking an active listener. And during that time, you talk about how the empathy circle works. And we're out of time.
Well, thank you. I felt I had an opportunity to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Jana, will you be my listener?
Sure.
So my disposition in life has been very reserved.
You find yourself generally reserved in life.
Yeah, so I'm finding that this empathy circle is a way for me to participate more in daily just daily not conflicts, but daily situations.
And you're finding that empathy circles are helping you interact more in daily situations.
So this whole concept of be here now has always been hard for me.
Be here now, being in the present moment has always been difficult for you.
And I forgot to start the clock. I just started it now. I'll end a little bit quicker. I got this. I got this.
And you
so
I'm sorry. And you forgot to start the clock.
You know, I had traumatic experiences in my life that have created emotional challenges.
So you've had traumatic experiences in your life that have been emotionally challenging for you.
So to have the empathy as another way to be in the moment is much better than being angry or being depressed.
So having empathy in the present moment is much better as an option, is much better than being angry or depressed.
And I'm really appreciating that a lot. And I feel like it's a step for me, even though this is very simple. There's some nuances to it that are challenging for me.
So you feel that this is a very, very good step for you, even though there's some challenging nuances to it. It's still a simple practice that you apply.
Right, the simple magic of the empathy circle, where just to be able to say what you want and to have somebody actually listen to you. I'm still I enjoy that simple part of it right now.
You're appreciating the simplicity of the practice of just the being heard and reflecting and being able to speak, if that works for you.
So so sometimes I feel like I'm being a little bit slow with maybe a particular piece of it, but I have enough internal reserves to know that I'll persevere and move through it. So I'm confident that I'll be able to facilitate well.
So even though you feel a little hesitant at times, you also feel that you'll be able to move through it. You have the ability to move through it, and you'll get better at facilitating.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I feel fully heard.
Thank you. Edwin, you want to listen to me?
Listening.
I love empathy circles.
I really love empathy circles.
Yeah, very touching what Dee shared about how empathy circles are contributing to her personally.
And just you're touched by what Dee is sharing about the impact of empathy circles on her.
Yeah, and also touching what Jonathan shared about, moving from one way of thinking about facilitating in the process and adopting a different view.
And you're also touched by John talking about the development, how he's sort of growing and moving from one state to another.
Yeah, and I really appreciated your role playing during the introductions. I love how you get into the role playing really well.
So you appreciate my role playing, just how I really got into it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm brand new here in empathy circles. I've never done one before.
So yeah, I just took on the role of a total newbie. Just what is this thing we're doing here?
And I also appreciate the reflection on global versus local empathy circles and in person maybe versus Zoom.
And just Jonathan's comment about in-person and global empathy circles. So just thinking about that, you appreciate those comments.
Yeah, and with the Peace Alliance, we're working with the Department of Peace Building, promoting a United States Department of Peace Building.
You're working with the Peace Alliance to promote a Department of Peace Building?
Yeah, and we recently had a meeting with an extraordinary peace builder named David Phillips, who wrote a book titled Peace Building.
And you had a meeting with Peter Phillips, who is the author of a book on peace building?
David Phillips.
Oh, David Phillips.
Yeah. And so he asked us, do we want to focus domestically or internationally on peace building?
And he asked, what do you want to focus on, domestic or international?
Yeah, and it's like as if it's an either or question.
Yeah, you're kind of like, oh, yeah, it's as if it's an either or.
Yeah, we really need both and.
Yeah, it's more of a, for you, it's more of a both and question.
Yeah, I asked you for the name of a facilitator here in New York about the possibility of in-person facilitation.
And you'd asked about a facilitator in New York for doing in-person facilitation.
Yeah, and I'd also like to take it more globally. And I'm wondering if you know any empathy circle facilitators who speak Spanish.
Yeah, you'd like to really take this global. Is there any facilitator in New York? Is there someone that speaks Spanish that can facilitate?
Yeah, global, local. We need everything.
Really spread it at all levels.
Yeah. And I feel fully heard. Thank you.
You feel heard. Okay. Speak to Jonathan. Yeah, I do know of someone that does facilitate Spanish circles. And so we have that, and I'm thrilled. I just love Jana's enthusiasm about circles and the spreading of it, and I get really excited just by her excitement.
I know someone who can facilitate a empathy circle in Spanish, and I'm gushing about the excitement I feel hearing Jana talk about spreading empathy circles on local and global levels and with multiple languages.
And also the part about being reserved, I want to say a few words. I think this process is good for introverts. I'm a bit of an introvert, actually. And it's like, in this process, you don't have to compete for space to share. Like, when people are very extroverted, I can't hardly get a word in edgewise. I just don't know when to enter. And so this process slows it down. Sort of my space is sort of guaranteed. And I really appreciate that. Maybe so. I just guess I want to build on what Dee was saying about that.
So you're saying that I'm, Edwin, a bit of an introvert, and that the empathy circle has been a blessing to you, or a good thing for you, because it reserves a space and you can speak, and you don't find yourself competing against someone who is dominating the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And I also found that, for example, my brother is a super introvert, and it's hard to get him to kind of talk, but by reflecting, having to reflect what other people say, it's almost like it primes the pump for speaking. By having to reflect what other people are saying, it kind of starts getting you kind of going into sharing your own thoughts. So that's just another sort of a process or benefit I've found.
Another benefit that you're speaking that benefits introverts or shy people or people that are reserved is that when you reflect and when you listen, it tends to create an environment which loosens them up and allows them to feel more comfortable talking and share more.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are things that I've experienced about myself too. It's been my own personal experience as well as with others. So yeah, those are just some other benefits.
And so I Edwin, have benefited personally because it's allowed me to feel more comfortable talking. And so you have a faith, or you just by observation and even perhaps by managing hundreds of empathy circles, you've learned that this process is of great help to people that are a little shy and reserved.
And something that you've been doing is reflecting back, almost like first person singular. You're sort of just jumping between. It's something to explore. Is the first person singular? It can, people. It can work. I've seen Carl Rogers actually do it as well. So first person singular is you reflect back as if you're the person speaking, right? And I just wanted to make a note of that because you can speak as, oh, I hear you say this, versus first person singular, where you just reflect back as if you're the person reflecting back. And you can sort of merge, you can kind of move between those two. And that's my time, I think.
Would you like to respond? Go
ahead. Boy, that a difficult concept. There's some subtlety there. I'm gonna have to take a pass. I'm gonna have to take a pass.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair.
Go ahead. I feel heard.
Thank you, Edwin.
Would you like to
wait,
pick?
it's my turn.
Oh, it's your turn? Okay. Yep.
Sorry. You just get kind of absorbed in this, and you kind of drop a moment. Let's see here. Who now I've lost track of who hasn't spoken, or have we gotten good turns here? Dee, how about, would you like to reflect?
I think we're doing a really good job of equality where everybody's participating. So thanks for calling on me. I'm ready.
Gosh. So I had a brief affair with Chat GPT. I got an account 3 weeks ago, and I talked to it about, we had a good conversation about God, and then we started talking a bit about empathy circles.
So you're grokking with Chat GPT, and you've even gotten to the point of talking about empathy circles with the Open AI program there.
Yes, but sadly, everyone in the rest of the world stampeded, and I have not been able to get back on.
Sadly, when you go to engage Chat GPT, it reflects that it's not able to be with you now.
Yeah, well, it's demand. Everybody's using it for whatever nefarious purposes they have.
Right. There's not enough bandwidth for more people. Everyone's flocking to Chat GPT.
And in the process, I've been studying a number of YouTube videos on various applications of it. Forgive me, I actually ask it to define empathy, ask it to define empathy circle, ask it to define reflective listening, see what it would say.
You're having fun having conversations and getting these human responses to things like empathy and other concepts that you're interested in.
So, what I was disturbed to find out subsequently is Bill Gates, Microsoft, has an exclusive contract with ChatGPT-3, and it's going to be integrated into Windows 11, and it's going to be integrated into Bing, their search engine.
Okay, so this Chat GPT is 3 is owned by Bill Gates. It's going to be incorporated into Microsoft and Bing. And I forgot the last thing you said.
Not owned, but he has a contract. He has an exclusive contract for its use.
Oh, he has an exclusive contract for use for ChatGPT-3. He doesn't own it.
Yeah. It's very neutral. It's very impersonal. I was just thinking, what did I? Anyway, it does know about empathy circles. Oh, and it would not give me the code. I asked it if it could be programmed to do reflection and do empathy discussions, and it told me in very strong terms that it could not alter its programming to accommodate my needs.
Oh, okay, so you discovered that it does know, the AI does know what an empathy circle is, and you tried to program it to be a reflective listener, to do an empathy circle with you, and it curtly responded that it's not able to do that for you.
Basically, yeah. I've seen examples on videos of people of the AI creating code that you can directly embed in a website and with an API key access it so that you can have your customers or the attendees to the website ask questions. And thought came to me, well, we're trying to put together an Empathy in Schools website. Maybe it'd be cool to have a little ChatGPT-3 box there that people could ask empathetic questions or something to that extent.
So you thought it'd be a good application to use ChatGPT-3 as an empathy circle in schools. And you've seen how that it can write computer code to do many things, but it didn't seem to be able to do that for you. And we're out of time. Are you good?
Yeah. Thank you for reflecting. I just wanted to share what was on my mind. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've got 5 minutes left until we get to 2:50. I guess we have enough time to do one more speaker. Edwin, would you be my listener?
Listening?
Yeah. I too am loving ChatGPT, as you can tell. I've done a couple of fun things with it.
You've really been enjoying GPT, and you're doing fun things with it too. Yeah.
Yeah, and many times I've gone to log in, and instead of being able to log in, it does a comic routine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you log in, it does a little comic routine, so it's not accessible.
Yeah. And so I have a little bit of feedback that I wouldn't mind talking about at the end. I'll talk about it now too, is sometimes, Jonathan, you were saying like, I, as Edwin, felt like blah, blah, blah. And it's like you were taking on the first person, I guess, of Edwin, instead of you said this and you said that. I don't know how else to describe that. Do you understand what I mean, Edwin?
Yeah, you were just pointing out that Jonathan was using first person singular in reflecting me.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
So that was confusing to me. I'm not sure if that is something that would be beneficial or not. I was, it kept going back and forth. And so that was maybe something that we can talk about.
Yeah, so it's a little confusing because he was kind of going back and forth between first person singular and third person. And so you're just confused by that, curious about it, want to discuss it more maybe.
Yeah, and then I really liked Janet and her information on peace and promoting peace. And I was really into that many years ago. I'll stop there.
You're appreciating Jana and her peace work because you were really involved in that, previously.
And I happened to get involved very peripherally with the UN, and they had a peace program, for lack of a better word.
And the UN had a peace program.
Yeah,
Better,
and
lack of a better word. Yeah.
yeah, and I discovered that one of my favorite singers, Shatam Carr, got a contract through the UN to teach peace.
Mm-hmm. So someone that you know is a favorite singer got a contract to promote peace.
Mm-hmm. She's a one of these Kundalini, at least nationwide, singers.
And she's a Kundalini singer.
Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, well, now how does somebody get a contract to teach peace? I think she had it specifically to teach peace to the children. I thought that was pretty impressive. And then so I researched it, and apparently her dad, who was involved with several things in the UN. So I suspect that relationship probably facilitated her being able to get a contract to teach peace to the children.
Yeah, you're really wondering, how does a person get a contract to teach peace through the UN? And then you kind of, after your research, you see your father works at the UN. You thought, oh, that's probably how she got the connection.
Yeah, so that was interesting. That's as far as I went with my peace research at that time. And I feel fully heard. I think the time is about out. So thank you, everyone. Would you like, so we can go around the circle and talk about any reflections they have about our circle today. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's actually part of facilitation of a regular empathy circle, so it's fine. I'm supposed to do it today, but that's fine. If you do it, that's fine. So would you like to reflect first? And how this works?
Yeah. I did pretty well for me keeping up. Sometimes I feel like I drop out and I can drop back in. And so that's a real practice for me that I'm having to become one with. So I'm noticing that's still happening, but I'm able to just squeak by, and I think it went pretty well for my first time. I'm good. Thank you.
Jonathan, you want to give decent feedback?
Well, I was just listening to Edwin, and I got caught up in his enthusiasm, and it's just so uncomfortable because I want to say I, like I was Edwin, and it's like myself was erased, and yet I was conscious of myself, and so I found myself saying I, as Edwin, said this, and so it's like the process is. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just encroaching upon me to where I really want to just reflect exactly what they say, and I'm not thinking about it. In other words, it's kind of like my filter's off, and I'm just kind of hearing. I kind of feel like I'm becoming them, and I don't want that to sound creepy, but is that what empathy is about, or part of aspect of empathy? Nobody says anything.
I'll come back to Dee, and then maybe also share what you were saying earlier about the first person singular versus second person singular.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, you want to give Dee any feedback to her facilitation?
Dee, I think that it's all down to just doing it in practice. I think you've got a handle on it. I hope to hear in future sessions during the training more about your energy practice and your work with individual people or persons.
Thanks.
So no, I don't have any. Just practice. Come back, do it more.
Edwin, you want to?
Yeah, I thought everything flowed well. Sometimes it's handy to have a little sign, for doing I think you held up a phone or something that have a little sign to make it a little bit clear when the time is up. So I think Jonathan has. There's some little tools, two signs. One is remember to pause, and I think another is time. Those are the two main things, and it can be handy to have a sign for that. So otherwise, everything seemed to flow well. I felt comfortable again too. There's one thing I would say is Jonathan's microphone is very sensitive, so we're hearing your breathing kind of in the background. So if you kind of put the mic up when you're not, so it would be, that's another approach. The timer.
Yeah, this is something which I've used on occasion, and it's very handy when the power goes out because the timer keeps running.
Well, if the power goes out, my computer's going down, so we're in trouble. I'm not that necessary to that, but I'm wondering the pause, remember to pause sign, that's for the speaker? You're trying to tell the speaker to slow down?
Yeah, you mentioned that the listener can ask for a pause, but sometimes the listener doesn't know that they can ask for a pause, or they forget, and the speaker goes on and on. So this can be sort of a reminder to the speaker to pause if they go on for a really long time, and you, as a facilitator, you're worried that the listener won't be able to keep hold all of that. So
right, you want to keep the speaker down to just one topic in a few sentences. Okay, I'll do that. I will do both of them. And I really like the clock that Jenna gave me, so I'm good with that, but that doesn't give me a way to say time's over. So I'll develop a fun little way to do that. I'll personalize it.
Kathy shows the heart. Kathy has a nice big red heart made out of paper that she holds up on time, and she introduces it. So if you don't have signs that say time, you can use.
Well, that reminds me, we've got all these icons on the screen. Like, here you go, I put up an icon. See, that's not very, I can, tell the group, okay, if you see the turkey bone, it means that we're out of or if you see the, you know what I mean? Maybe I can do that. I'll work with that. That'll be my little thing, okay?
I love that idea. That's a creative idea that I haven't seen anybody think of or use. That's a
fun sign, something fun that people will react to in a positive way. And it's prominent enough, I think.
Yeah, you can just,
You can only do one at a time, I see. Okay, thank you. I don't want to take up all our time with that. That was great, though. That was good for me. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, and forgetting the timer when you're speaking, that's very common. I've done that loads of times. I can still do that. So yeah. Edwin, what were you saying about first person and
Oh yeah. So when you reflect back, you can say, I hear you say, so you're taking it me hearing you, or you can just say, reflect back what the person is saying without I hear you say, or, you can, there's a lot of different ways of doing the reflection. And what Jonathan was doing was what, would be first person singular, like, I'm feeling really angry, I could be saying, and then the listener says, I feel really angry, so they say it in the first person singular, and you can experiment with that. It's really, there's no right and wrong per se. It's does the speaker feel heard to their satisfaction? And the speaker might say, I really don't like that, or they might say that's really great. So it's a bit of a experimentation. And I've seen Carl Rogers, who started this active listening practice. I've seen him, reflect back what people say, and then sometimes like reflect back first person singular, exactly what the person says. So you sort of have to experiment. There's no sort of right and wrong. It's really trying to hear the speaker to their satisfaction. You got to sort of feel into it, but you can try experimenting. And it's the same thing with the practices like reflecting back the feelings, or even taking needs guesses, which is really done in NVC. So you can kind of experiment. It's not right or wrong. It's really up to the speaker. And for example, Kathy, she was making a point is, I don't want people to add anything. I just want them to reflect exactly what I'm saying. So, tell the person as the speaker, if you don't like it, you just say how you want to be heard, because it's really the responsibility of the speaker to be heard to their satisfaction. It's like, hey, I love first person singular. Always, speak back in first person singular, or not. So, yeah, I don't know if that was clear or understandable, but made sense.
Yeah, thank you. And I love Dee's experimentation here with the.
Yeah, I'm having fun. I like the hourglass for time, and I think is it, I don't know if it's big enough, you know what I mean? What do you guys think?
The problem with the hourglass is going to be that when you turn it over, that if the person just says a few words and says, I'm fully heard, then you can't change the hourglass, right? It's already flowing. It's like half mixed in because the hourglass won't flow. And so I've had multiple hourglasses. There's these little tiny hourglasses you can buy. So you need a fresh one to start with. So it's if you only have one, it's probably not going to work.
Okay, I see what you're saying. How about that? Is that too jarring for like?
He was talking. Edwin's talking about an actual physical hourglass.
I know.
You're talking about an icon. I think the hourglass is fine in terms of conceptually, but it's not bright and colorful enough. It doesn't stand.
Exactly. All right. And I think the exclamation points, I think they're too jarring. They're too scary.
The balloon was nice.
Oh, maybe it has blue. Okay, I'll look for blue.
The balloon.
The balloon. This?
Yeah.
There's also this program, the timer, that
yeah, I can show you that. Here, I have it open.
Okay.
Yeah, this thing. I'll put it down to a few seconds here. Yeah, this is a 3-second timer.
Yeah, I think I want to do something like that on the screen as opposed to doing it over here on my other screen so that everybody can see it like that.
There's another version that's a little bit smaller that's pretty big, but yeah.
And then it turns red and makes that little bloop.
Yeah.
And that's an app. That's an app for Zoom here.
Zoom app. Yeah. You have to go to Zoom apps. You have to sign into Zoom, and then you go to apps and you open the app and you select the timer app, and it'll come up.
There's a couple timer apps you can experiment with.
So I have to do that each time that I sign into Zoom then. So before the session. All right, that's what I'll do, guys, because I think that's important to have the time up there for everybody for clarity. Because I like to know, when I'm getting close to the time, if I'm a speaker too.
Yeah, it's easy for some people. It's kind of in your face, but it does work.
I'll find a smaller one.
I don't have a smaller one. It's the only one that seems to.
I'll find one. I'll go through the apps and I'll find one. If Edwin's saying it exists, I'm sure it exists, and I'll seek and retrieve.
So people should be coming back any minute. We got 20 seconds. They're taking their time returning, so they must be enjoying themselves.
I'll just comment on the GP. What is it? The Chat GPT. Oh, we're back in the room. Right. Never mind.
Yeah, I asked it to write an article on empathy, and it did. The benefits of empathy. It wrote a whole article for me.
There you go.
Yeah, I read it. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
You read it. Oh my God, that's amazing.
I posted it to LinkedIn.
Yeah. I wonder if it does citations.
Yeah, could ask it. Please give references.
I'm sure it does.
Okay, who is doing this part? Yay, take it away, Kara.
That's me. I was all distracted by how great things were going. All right, welcome back, everyone. Now we are going to kind of share our experience. So we just had an hour and a half, and you're going to boil it down to about 60 seconds. And we're going to go around and share how everyone experienced things. I will call people out. I'm going to start with Jonathan.
Thank you. This was a very good session. We really zeroed in on some of the finer points of being a facilitator. And I benefited. I learned something new today about not letting my preconceptions interfere with a guest in an empathy circle, a new guest in an empathy circle, ability to speak freely.
I love that. Kathy, how about you?
Yes. So it was great to practice the how-to again. And I found some ways I can refine that even better. And I learned something from Karen and Jennifer from listening to them and things that they had in there. So that was a surprise for me that I would learn some new stuff I can incorporate. So that's really beautiful that as people come along, everybody gives something new and adds something to it. So these continue to evolve. And it was a very safe circle. And even though people were learning, it just seemed like they were very experienced. So
Excellent.
thank you.
Yeah. DJ.
Yeah, I facilitated the most brilliant circle. It was wonderful. Everybody there was just exceptional. And we could have probably gone on for like a couple of days. It was just really great, sort of like unfinished stories, if you will. So thank you to my group, George and Ruth and Larry.
Excellent. Jana.
We had a lovely empathy circle, and yeah, and the facilitation went quite well. The two facilitators kept track of everything, and I didn't have to do too much. And Edwin was there, and some very beautiful sharing and about what Jonathan just shared about his intellectual humility and I love this chat GPT idea that we could actually get chat GPT to I learned that we're not replaceable by robots. We actually need to listen to each other, and we need humans to do it. So thank you.
Yeah. Larry.
We had a beautiful empathy circle. I love these empathy circles. I really think humans have been suppressed in their feelings and their emotions for thousands of years. And these empathy circles are giving us an opportunity to come to the surface and get some fresh air and be heard. And I just love these empathy circles. It was beautiful. Thank you all.
Wendy.
Wow, Larry, I love that coming to the surface. Yes, thank you. Oh, I feel so privileged. I had it was lovely to be with Karen and Jennifer and Kathy, and yeah, everybody really contributed to make it a very safe space. And yeah, I think it seemed to just flow, and I couldn't believe it when the time was like we've only got 5 minutes left or something. It was like, what? Yeah, a bit like somebody said, like DJ said, it could have, from my side, it could have gone on much longer. So thank you, everybody.
Delicious. Sally.
Well, improvisation really, maybe down the road, but I think I just have to square up with the actual points, the bullet points, and have a little integrity with that. And we had a wonderful group. I just felt so elevated emotionally by the end of our session, and was just thrilled by how much time in the empathy growth process was gained with a 2-minute speaking listening portion. Thank you.
Bill.
I had a great time. I had actually had to do the how-to, which was an experience for me. And again, I just want to express my appreciation for for Kara and Alex and Sally, for all the skills and the what gravitas, maybe not too heavy a word, but the skill, the excellent skills they brought. I really feel as you really add to the circle. The circle's great, but each of your individual contributions adds to it.
Alex.
Thank you. I echo what Bill was saying. I feel lucky to have been with Cara, Bill, and Sally, who are all very experienced empathy circle practitioners. So I really learned a lot through the process. Maybe people that have been in empathy circle with me are probably sick of hearing, but I'm really here to develop patience. And each empathy circle I do or training that I become involved with, I feel like I get closer to zeroing in on what it is about patience that I struggle with, or why that is a theme that keeps coming up for me. So I really value the time. I learn a lot about the process, and I also learn a lot about myself each time I'm here.
Dee.
Yeah, me too. For me, it's focus on what's happening here and now. That's something that I'm honing in on as well. And likewise, I felt very comfortable with everybody. We're all, as volunteers, but we're all very professional and we're dedicated, and we have a purpose in mind, and we're very focused on that. And I find that that's great, and I am too. And we focus on a couple different nuances to the empathy circle, and so this could go on, and so I'm enjoying all the different pieces of information. Thank you.
George.
Yeah, hi. Well, that experience was really, really, really great for me. Usually I talk about in the feedback about the insights which come in this process, but well, today it's also something that has to do with deep emotional access and the support from the other group members. Because for instance, as a facilitator, as a trainee facilitator, I felt kind of tensed and maybe anxious and then the group members and the process enabled the relaxation of mind and to be more confident and even touch some emotional, deep emotional issues. So that's and much thanks for all the group members in this regard.
Jennifer.
I really enjoyed our group. I felt very privileged to have Kathy be able to share herself so openly and vulnerably as she did. I know that it's just going to be a matter of me getting practice over and over to be a good facilitator in terms of managing who is doing what and when. And, like, especially the first part is a little rocky for me. I need to get a better introduction, whatever. I'm sure that'll come. But overall, I thought it was really, it's like I said in my introduction, it's simple, elegant, and effective. So yeah, I think if you just kind of bring that and know the process, it seems inevitable that what will arise in the space is just whatever arises, but that's what the process seems to allow for, is just, you never know what's going to arise, but keeping the framework intact is the practice I see for myself.
Ruth.
Yeah, just echo what George and DJ and Larry were saying. It was a very supportive group. Despite feeling zoomed out, I really felt engaged. Yeah, and I kind of got more of a sense of how they work. I just went a bit deeper with, like, no, they're not conversations, they are empathy circles, but it's a really great way to communicate. Yeah, thank you.
I want to echo what everybody said. I always get growth and development and learning for myself. I'm always so impressed by everybody who comes here. And I always leave in a better mood than when I showed up. So thanks. Edwin?
Yeah, I really like the what we're doing here in terms of the topic. The topic is about facilitation. So it's a way to explore facilitation by doing the process. And some of the topics that came up in our circle were setting that people can freely express themselves instead of telling people how they should be in the circle. So that was sort of a topic that we explored, and the importance of staying within the process, that the process has its boundaries to it, and different issues and so forth can get worked out through the process, sort of trusting the process. And we also talked about empathy circles being good for introverts, which I'm one, in the sense that you get heard, you don't have to compete with extroverts, for attention. So we kind of did that. We also explored the reflection, different types of reflection, like the first person singular versus third person, kind of explored that topic, was really interesting. Somebody mentioned doing could go longer. I have thought of doing an empathy marathon where we do a whole 8-hour weekend, Saturday circle, and just see what would happen to my consciousness just doing 8 hours of empathy circle. So something to think about for the future. That's it. Thanks.
Okay. I think the number one takeaway I heard from everyone is trust the process. Heard and check. We're going to pass it on to Jonathan so he can take us into our closing.
Everybody share.
Thank you.
Karen didn't share.
Karen.
Okay, thank you. What I'd like.
No, somebody didn't share. Karen didn't get a chance, I heard. Or
Karen, did I miss Karen? Sorry, share, say everything.
Yeah, no worries. See, trust the process in the room. It'll come up. Another example. Yeah, I too really enjoyed the context. I like that we were put into being facilitators so soon in the training. So it felt comfortable, like we didn't have to be experts yet. And we had a good combination of 2 experienced facilitators and 2 new facilitators. So I think we all learned from each one of us in going for it. And just really appreciating this. I think I took a note to actually start a daily self-empathy process. That this is so enjoyable. Why not do it more often? So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Sorry. Okay, now to Jonathan.
Well, thank you. Does our trainers have any final comments that would they feel would be of benefit to our cohort? Okay. What I'd like to share with you is today we practiced the basic process of facilitation. And so this class does have a bit of self-pacing. And so next week, we're going to be practicing facilitation again, but there's going to be a twist. Somebody is going to interrupt the process. Now, the facilitator, as I say, can work at their own speed, so you can request a very difficult interruption or no interruption, or a simple interruption. And I think that it's one of the more beneficial aspects of the training because it really puts you on your game. And there also will be an opportunity to do it again, I believe, in the 3rd session. Dealing with all the things and responsibilities of a facilitator just requires practice. There'll be assignments again. Fill out the session feedback form. The link is in the chat, and I hope somebody put that up for me. Do the empathy buddy call. everyone forgive me, I didn't get on the list. I was a late ad, and so I'll be get on the list, and I'll be happy to chat over the next 5 weeks or 6 weeks with many of the participants here. And lastly, if you have an opportunity, try and start an empathy circle with your family, friends, or pets. So thank you very much. Oh,
Funny.
sorry.
I'm gonna put the link in. I just was looking it up, didn't have it, everyone in the meeting. So I think last week the wrong one was posted, so I had sent the updated one. So that's the feedback, the link to the feedback. So if you have any questions, you post the questions there, and then they'll get answered in the feedback section at the beginning of the next session. And Sally, you had something?
Yeah. I just wanted to say that the family connection with the MC circle does take time, and it might not be automatic, but over time there is a trust level that is established.
Okay, then I don't know if you saw it on the script, Jonathan, but we asked everyone to do, you have to go to the next page, that if you can write one feeling that you're feeling at the moment and put it into the chat.
It was on the next page.
That's part of the, oh, there's, yeah, just one feeling that you have, and just post it. Then while you're doing that, Kathy, I think you've got a question.
Yes, I just need the trainers to stay after for this, right? You don't need any of the trainees to...
The trainers and the trainees stay after to debrief.
Okay.
We have a 30 minutes
right.
debrief.
Chat.
And we have words like open-hearted, curiosity, trusting, happy, appreciation, uplifted, more appreciation. And so our final task is our jazz hands goodbye. We'd like to get a good portrait of everybody. See you next week, and I'll be sending out the assignments of the empathy buddy calls connections in later today. So see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Facilitators training.
Okay, so I'm doing the post session, and the first thing is a 3-minute break.
Recording, turn off the recording.
Oh, thanks.